Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to the community. In today's video, we're going to be looking at, is it actually necessary as a jungler to have some kind of understanding of wave mechanics? Now obviously you should already know that the answer is yes. Instinctively you should know, yes, obviously it's always going to benefit me if I have more knowledge, especially from wave mechanics as a jungler. Now the problem with that is that most people don't know why. They cannot know, or they cannot tell why it's actually beneficial to know wave mechanics as a jungler. Especially in a lower elo bracket, so basically everything all the way up until like at least platinum in my opinion, probably even higher like diamond. A lot of people don't even think of wave mechanics when they're jungling, which is something that they absolutely should do. So basically in this clip here, I'm going to show you guys how you can look at wave mechanics as a jungler, or how it actually makes sense to look at wave mechanics as a jungler. Now, I'm also going to look at some jungle tracking here. So I'm going to mix in a little bit of jungle tracking so that for today's lesson, basically, we talk about both jungle tracking and a little bit of wave mechanics, because both of these are going to tie in together with each other. If you're jungle tracking, it's going to be very important if you're also doing wave mechanics tracking. It's going to be very important if you can do both of them, because then you can really benefit from either one of these concepts, right? Now, this is a game that I reviewed with a coaching student of mine. I did this yesterday and he was very amazed by the concept that I went through. And I basically decided to do a little bit of a less in-depth version, but like a brief, quick version of this, so that like a lot of people as well can start to understand this. I'm not going to go that in-depth obviously right now, but we're going to try and show you guys how you can actually apply wave mechanics and jungle tracking in the same game and how you can actually get benefits from it. It is not that difficult. So let's go ahead and do that. So currently in this game, I am the Vladimir. So let me put the sound up a little bit here. Oh no, the sound is fine. So I'm the Vladimir in this game, but we're going to look at the Udyr. This is about a high platinum game, I feel like. I thought this Udyr was platinum 2. So we're looking at a platinum 2 Udyr jungler, by the way, right now. So what we're going to do, I'm going to speed up the process here a little bit, and we're going to do some jungle tracking. Now let's go here on the blue vision, so that we don't have any vision onto the map. And I'm going to show you guys how to start with jungle tracking. And then after that, we're going to talk about wave mechanics while we are jungle tracking. That's the way how you should do it. So right now, we can know where Elise is going to start. It is crucial that we know where Elise starts. Does she start blue? Does she start red buff? That is crucial to know. Because then we can basically think of her pathing. What is she going to do? Then we can like anticipate onto that. Right now, while we're doing this, oh, what do we see here? We see that Gank at 1 minute 39 is already top lane. So he is not leashing, or he did not leash the red buff, right? So he immediately went top lane. The enemy bot lane is still not bot lane. And especially in the lower elo bracket, like around like Platinum 2 is still like kind of low elo. We should know that most of the time, if the bot lane shows up a lot later than top lane, then it's very likely that the bot lane is leashing their jungler on the blue buff. Now, if you press all, we're going to see that this is exactly true. Now, this is not going to be true in all cases. This is more of an assumption. It's not a straight fact. So if you want to have like exact intel, we can always like as a jungler go into the enemy jungle and like place a ward here, or maybe we tell our mid laner to place a ward here at Raptors at like 1 minute 15. Right? That's something you could do. That way you won't even have to assume it, and that way you will know it for a fact. Right? But right now we don't have any wards here, so we're going to assume that she started here based on the fact that the enemy bot lane is not in lane yet and top lane is already in lane. So we know that this guy didn't leash, and then it's very likely that the enemy bot lane leashed Elise on the blue buff. Alright, so I'm going to play it out. Why is this so important actually? Because now we know that if Elise starts on blue buff, it's very likely that at 3 minutes 30, she's going to end up on this side of the map, unless she goes for an early bot lane gank. If she goes for a level 2 bot lane gank, for example, then we know that she's not going to end up here at like 3 minutes 30. But that's also like, then we're going to see that, right? If she doesn't already gank, we're going to see that and we can abuse that. Right now, all we have to make sure is, we have to see if Elise does a level 2 gank mid lane or level 2 gank bot lane. If she doesn't, we can just assume that she's doing a normal pathing into the top side jungle, right? Exactly what the Udyr is doing here. So we're going to see. We're just going to clear here. Now, for a bit of timers, and this depends on like most champions, but I can tell you from experience, most junglers will be at Scuttle, at Raptors, at around 240, and they will be at red buff at around 3 minutes, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen in this game. That's kind of what you can expect here. But even if we don't know that, it's completely fine. Because now we know, okay, Elise didn't do bot lane gank, she didn't do mid lane gank. And now it's 2 minutes 47, so we know, okay, it's very unlikely that she's still on her blue side. Because she didn't do a gank yet. So she probably just went to her top side, is clearing her top side camps. She's currently on Raptors, like we said, starting from 2 minutes 40. So if we press all here, we can see her being on Raptors. That can be a very good tip. Around 2 minutes 40, people start around Raptors, and at 3 minutes, they're like at red buff. It depends on champions, depends on how they clear, but most of the time that's going to be the case. Also depends on like if they do full clear or not. Now, what we're going to see right now, okay, she didn't gank yet, so we know she's on her top side, right? So now all we have to look is, right now we could think, okay, Elise did not gank bot, did not gank mid, so it's very likely that she's on top side. So then that also means that it's very likely that right now she could try and gank mid lane from here, or she could gank top lane from here. Now obviously, if you're the Elise right now in this situation, would you prefer ganking a Vladimir with Ghost Flash and probably pull up while not even that overextended? Or would you as the Elise go for this? If I'm Elise right now, I will probably skip my Krugs. I do red buff and I go for this gank. Because right now we're about 3 minutes. She should be busy at red buff. We're like trying to start it here, yeah? That's exactly what she's doing. So she's gonna do this probably into an early gank here. And that is exactly what she did. I already went over this game with the coaching student here, but this makes a lot of sense, right? So you should understand right now, okay, she sees this lane, she's probably not going to do Crux, she's going to go for an immediate gank. That's exactly what's going to happen. So right now, we can actually ping back off Riven, or we can type in chat, be careful, Elise is going to gank top lane. How do we know that? Because of jungle tracking. We know she started blue, we didn't see her do any ganks, like early shenanigans, like a gank bot or mid lane early on. So we know for a fact that she's on top side right now, looking for either a mid lane gank or a top lane gank. And if our top laner is pushed up, obviously he is going to be the most acceptable one do a Elise gank. So right now we should be pinging back Elise. Just typing in chat, for example, Elise top side, care. Stuff like that. Now, if we just play here, so we're just taking Gromp, we're just like playing the game here actually. Now we see Elise. We see Elise top lane. Now here's the fun part in the League. This is where like, so the jungle tracking is going to pay off here. Because what you should know in League, as a jungler, is that every single camp equals 4 CS. Meaning, if you kill the Gromp, and you had 0 CS, now you got 4 CS. 4. If you take blue, you also get 4. The same for red buff. The same for every single camp in your jungle. So blue and red buff have the same amount of CS score as Gromp or Wolves. Everything is 4 CS. It's the same for the Scuttle Crab. Scuttle Crab is also 4 CS. So there are 6 camps in your jungle in the first clear. So if you do an entire clear, 6 camps times 4 CS, you're going to equal 24 CS. And if you take a Scuttle, we're going to equal 28 CS. So a full clear into taking a Scuttle is going to result in you having 28 CS at the end of it. Right now, it's 3 minutes 29. Elise is top lane, and we know that the Scuttle only spawns at 3 minutes 30. So can she take it? No, she cannot have taken it, because it still has to spawn. It's 1 second away from spawning. And she's already top lane, right? So now we press tab, and we see, oh, okay, she got 20 CS right now. So she took 5 camps, because 5 times 4, right, is 20 CS. It's going to be very likely her, that she did a full clear and went into top lane, skipping Krugs, because of the reasons we mentioned before, right? If she took Krugs before ganking, the gank opportunity might have already been diminished. Like, it might have already been gone. Riven might have backed. So she probably skipped Krugs to make sure that she can gank here in time, so that Riven will still be overextended and an easy gank. Otherwise, if she does Krugs first, Riven might actually push in the wave, reset, and stuff like that, right? So if she wants to have a good gank of Elise, she has to skip Krugs to go top lane. So now we can actually know very, very surely that Elise didn't do her Krugs. That's very important, and I'm going to tell you in just a bit. This gank happens, so it doesn't really matter too much what the outcome is. We can be here. Why can we like even think of the fact that Elise could be here? Because of jungle tracking. So we can easily counter jungle this, because we know where Elise is going to be. This is very good. Now also, Elise survived, so now she has 2 options. If you're the Elise right now, you did almost a full clear, you skipped Krugs, you have 2 options. You reset immediately, because Elise cannot contest the Scuttle Crab here with her, because she's way too low right now. So what she can do, she can either reset to base, spend gold, go back to clearing. Or what she can do, she takes Krugs before recalling and then goes back to the bot side. Because her camps will spawn on the bot side again, right? So this is very important. Now we know the 2 options for Elise. She either takes Krugs, or she backs immediately and goes for this. So now that we know that, we just take Scuttle as Udyr here, right? now that we know that, we can know when Elise is going to be around bot side right now. So now we are just looking for a gank here. So now there are two options. After this gank right now, it's about 4 minutes 30. We know, okay, Elise is either already on her bot side, or she did take Crux and is now walking towards her bot side. It's going to be one or the other. And that's exactly what happened. Right now we see her with 24 CS. So we know that she had 20 CS before the gank. After the gank she got 4 CS. So she did take Crux. So that's exactly how we can tell where Elise will be at any time. We don't have to know exactly at which camp, but we can know, okay, she is either, if she took Crux, she's gonna be walking towards here. If she didn't take it, immediately reset, she will already be on bot side. And that is something we cannot predict. We cannot predict whether or not Elise will do the Crux before reset or not. So now we have two opportunities that we have to think of, two possibilities that we have to keep in mind. But we know for a fact that at least she's either already on bot side or she's gonna be here in like 20 seconds. That's what we know right now. So that's gonna be very important. Right now, here, I would be very, very nervous on taking the Scuttle. Why? Elise could be here. If she did not do Crux, she could have already taken Grom, for example, or she could already be here on Scuttle. So would I walk into this river? I would not. Basically, this is just jungle tracking. Now, I'm going to do a little bit more jungle tracking, and then we're going to talk actually about the wave mechanics. But it's very important that we understand both. So right now, let's look. We're going to clear. Now, what do we know? What do we know right now? That Elise was bot side, and she took some camps, right? It's already 4 minutes 35. So she's already on bot side. She took some camps. She might already be walking towards the Raptor camp here. That's what she could be doing. She's either walking towards Raptor camp, or she's doing some shenanigans like a mid lane gank or a bot lane gank. So if we press all here, let's see. Yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. So she did take her camps. She took wolves, she took romp. But rather to go for raptors, she is looking for shenanigan here on the bot side. So we're just going to press the blue side again. And now all we can expect is, okay, Elise should either be going to her raptors right now, or bot lane, or mid lane. That's what we know right now. She cannot be top lane. So now we see, if we see Elise bot lane, or if we see her mid lane, we know for a fact that she won't, that she didn't do raptor. So then we know that we can invade her raptor camp, potentially. So that's what we have to pay attention for right now. Hopefully you guys understand this. I'm trying to explain this to the best of my ability. Right now we are just clearing here. Boom, what do we see? We see this. Right now, we see Elise. What does that mean? If the fact that we see Elise here with 32 CS means, okay, she took her entire camp here, her entire jungle, full clear, 24 CS. And now she has 32 CS, so she has 8 more than 24 CS. So she has 8 far more, meaning 2 camps, which is exactly her bot lane camps. She took wolves, 4 CS, romp, 4 CS, together 8 CS. If you put that on top of a full clear, 24 CS plus 8, 32 CS. So now we know she did a full clear, she did do Crux before she recalled, and she did do 2 camps on the bot side. That's exactly what we know. So why is that important? Because now we know she didn't do raptors. So now we know we can take raptors. We also know, okay, she did Crux right now. She has 32 CS, so she did Crux, meaning that Crux will spawn a little bit later than raptors. So Crux will not immediately spawn right now. It might take like 30 seconds more before it's gonna spawn. We know that for a fact. Because we know that she took it if we look at her CS right now. Right? So, and because she did a gank before she went to raptors, this spawns later, before she went to Crux. The Crux are gonna spawn a lot later than the raptor camp. Alright, this is the jungle tracking. Now, why do we need this? Why are we talking about jungle tracking if the video is all about wave mechanics? Well, now we're gonna look at the wave mechanics, and we're gonna look at how important both of these concepts are if you want to get them successfully done. Right now, if you look at this lane, while we are doing romp, we should be looking at the lanes. Look at Riven. Look at what Riven is doing right now. She's pushing the wave. Right now, Riven has more minions than a normal wave, more than 6 minions. And the wave is going to be more at her side of the line. So this means the wave is going to push towards the Tahm Kench here. Right? We know this for a fact. So can we gank the Tahm Kench right now? Right now, yes. If we want to gank Tahm Kench, knowing that the wave, like if Riven is pushing her wave back to Tahm Kench, that means that Tahm Kench, right now he's here, but in the future he might be here and then here. He will keep on moving closer and closer to his turret until Riven pushed her entire wave under his turret, right? So if we want to have a successful gank on him, if we want to gank him per se, we are better to do it right now. We take romp as fast as possible and we immediately go top lane. Because if we wait a minute with it, or like 30 seconds with it, Tahm Kench might not be here anymore, but he might actually be here, and then it's going to be a lot harder of a gank, right? That is the first thing we can think of. Alright, the second thing we can think of right now is our jungler here, Riven, is stacking a wave. She's building a big wave to crash this. This gives us two opportunities. The first opportunity is, if Riven does manage to stack an entire wave, push it towards Tahm Kench, it might be interesting for us to gank the Tahm Kench and try to kill him, or at least zone him from all these minions that she pushed in. That way, you'll miss about 15 to 20 minions that she stacked up. You understand? The Riven is building a very big wave. She's going to crash it under his turret. If we gank here, under this turret, we can either kill Tahm Kench so that he loses all the minions here under his turret, or we can try to zone him off the turret so that he cannot take the XP and gold from the minions. So in both scenarios, it's going to be bad for him. But that's going to be a good opportunity for us. A second thing, and this is something a lot of people do not think about, if Riven is building a big wave, if her wave is pushing towards the Tahm Kench, right, that also means that at some point, Riven is also going to be overextended. She's going to be here, right? Because her wave is pushing away from her turret. Automatically. So if Tahm Kench right now just last hits the minions, because Riven maybe zones him from hitting the CS or something, and her wave is automatically going to push towards Tahm Kench. So, right now we see Elise bot, but let's say we don't. Let's say we think that Elise is topside right now. Wouldn't it be beautiful then, as the Udyr, to not take wolves or something, but after Gromp immediately go in this brush, or in this brush, and try to counter a potential Elise gank? Because if you're the Elise right now, if you are on the red side, if you see this big wave, if you see Riven here, and her wave is pushing towards this side of the map, that means that Riven is in about like a minute or so, she's going to be here, which is perfectly gankable for an Elise. If Elise ganks like this, and Riven is positioned here, then Elise can just gank like this, and she gets almost a free kill. She can run the Riven down the entire lane here. So it's going to be very good gank for Elise. So if you think Elise is top lane, and right now as the Udyr, you can already think, okay, my Riven is in a minute or so going to be here in the lane. So now I just walk up and I position myself in this brush or in this brush. Whenever Elise tries to gank at that point, I can just surprise her together with Riven. You can ping Riven to come here as well or something, right? And then you can surprise the Riven. And this is what a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people are the Elise, especially in the lower elo. And they feel like at some point in some games, they're like a living ward. It's like they're always telling me like during coachings, I feel like I'm like a living ward. I feel like I'm streaming and that the enemy jungler always knows where I am. That's just because the Elise, right now if Elise was top lane and Riven is going to be here and Elise ganks here, the Elise has no clue why she can gank Riven. The only reason why Elise would know that she can gank Riven is because, oh, Riven is overextended, so I'm going to go for gank. Elise probably in the lower elo bracket did not think of the wave state. She did not think, okay, Riven is pushing towards my laner, so in a minute or so, if she's on red buff, for example, I'm going to be able to gank that lane. No, most of the time, especially in the lower elo brackets, they're just going to think, like, oh, the Riven is overextended, I'm going to gank her. But you as an Udyr can already know, oh, it's going to be very tempting for the Elise to gank my Riven in a minute, because in a minute, Riven is going to be here, because the wave is automatically pushing towards Tahm Kench. So I can position myself here, try to collapse the Elise. And that way you can basically guess or assume whenever the jungler will be in a certain spot, right? So all these opportunities just from looking at this wave are so beautiful. So this is like wave mechanics as a jungler. This is very important to know, all right? Now, there is something else about this. Why did I talk about jungle tracking? This is a video about wave mechanics. Because of this. Right now we know about these wave mechanics. We know the wave is going to push towards here, all right? Which is beautiful. We also see that Elise is bot lane right now. Because of the jungle tracking, we know that her Raptor camp is up and that her Crux are going to spawn in like a little bit, in like 20 seconds or so. So, what do we do right now as Udyr? We know that the wave is going to push here, so we go for her Raptors, we go invade here, we see Elise here, so we punish her for that. Because of jungle tracking, we know her Raptors are up. So after Wolves, we do not, after Gromp, we do not take the Wolves, no. We invade Elise on her Raptors, we go onto her Crux, and by the time we took Raptors and Crux, Riven should be able to stack a very big wave under the Tahm Kench's turret, and then we are in the perfect position to dive the Tahm Kench and kill him, so that he misses the big wave, or at least zone him from the gold and XP, right? Or at least try to do that, right? So right now, as another very big opportunities. We should invade here, take Raptors, because we know they are up because of jungle tracking, taking Crux, and then we're going to be in a perfect spot to dive here. So you know, now you see how wave mechanics and actual jungle tracking tie in with each other. Because now, because of the jungle tracking, we know which camps are going to be up. And because of wave mechanics, we know that it's going to be actual beneficial for us to path into raptors, into Krugs, because then we're going to be able to do a gank here, because this wave, because of wave mechanics, we know that this wave is going to be here in about a minute and a half or something, right? So that is very, very important to know. Now, Udyr is not going to do that. And this is a Platinum 2 Udyr. So for the people who are silver and who are thinking, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. This is a Platinum 2 game. This guy is Platinum 2 right now, this Udyr. So he has no clue what he's going to do either. Let's see what Udyr does here. So Udyr doesn't do any of that. He doesn't do any of that. Right now, Udyr thinks by himself, oh, I'm just going to take wolves. I don't want the free camp. I don't want this free camp as well. I also don't want the dive. He does not want to do that. Udyr is just thinking, oh, let's farm. He's not thinking of all that. And this is a Platinum 2 Udyr. So keep in mind, these are really, really broken concepts right now. Also, we see them naturally doing Drake. We saw Elise walk to here. We have a ward here. We see Twitch doing Drake. So right now, Twitch, this might be a bit tricky, but it's Twitch mid lane against Vladimir. I am the Vladimir in this game, by the way. And this is a Twitch. Now, as the Udyr here, in this jungle, in this game, right now he should be looking at Twitch here. Why should he be looking at Twitch? Look at my wave. Look at my wave here. The Udyr right now should think, okay, Vladimir is holding the wave. He's not killing this. He's holding the wave as long as possible on his side of the map. The wave is not here. It's here. This is close to Vladimir's side of the map, close to his third. Meaning, we saw Twitch moving out of the Drake. He's moving towards mid lane to CS because his CS is really low right now. 37 to 49 because he roamed. So Twitch is going to go mid lane to farm. He's going to walk up here. And he has to walk all the way up like this to attack these minions. Because the Vladimir is not just randomly pushing. The Vladimir is holding the wave here on his side of the map. So right now, Twitch, if he wants to CS, he has to walk up like this. So how beautiful would it be for the Udyr in this case to take wolves, move up like this, position ourselves in this brush, and wait for the Twitch to come and CS, and then we can get a free gank off. Ideally, we do not take... What you could also do is you could argue, okay, we're going to take wolves, and then path like this, and then try to do a gank from this side. But ideally, I would not do that, because we know that the enemy have priority around Drake. They might set up vision here, and all that stuff, so the gank is going to be a bit harder. Also, Elise could hover here, and then she's going to see us, and we can't do the gank. So ideally, we take wolves, we put ourselves in this brush here, we wait until Twitch comes to farm, we try the gank. Also, that way, even in this position, when we already missed out on the opportunity of taking these two camps, if we take wolf right now, and we go into this brush, we are also on the raptor camp here of Elise. So if the gank doesn't work out, we can maybe very quickly go to raptors and take the raptor camp. So that's why I would do wolves, not go to this side of the map, but go to this side of the map, position myself in this brush, try to gank the Twitch, and we know Twitch is going to be here, because Vladimir is holding the wave here on his side of the map, and Twitch needs to see us, he needs to walk up, so he has to walk up at least like here. He's at least going to be like somewhere in like the middle of the lane. But Udyr doesn't choose to do that. So if you look at mid lane right now, like, we're just looking, Udyr is moving, like, I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. Alright. But right now, Udyr is about on raptors. He walked about this distance. From here, and he took like a little bit of, it took him a little bit of time to go from here to here, obviously. Now, the distance from here to here is almost the same of like wolves to like here. So he could get here like a little bit later, let's assume like right now. So like, yeah, right now, I feel like Udyr could like be around here because he already took like, he already walked around here, right? So now, the entire distance that he walked from this would be about the same of this distance from wolves to here. So I'm pretty sure Udyr could be here right now. Does this look like a good gank opportunity? I would say yes. Because the Drake is still up, they're still doing Drake, so we have a small opportunity of running this Twitch down. Obviously, he can always hover to this side of the map, but at least we have a very good gank opportunity. Twitch is pretty good right now, he's hovering this side of the map, he's not hovering this side of the map, but this is also Platinum 2, so be aware, if you're playing in the lower elo bracket, this Twitch might not necessarily know that his teammates are on this side of the map, and he might not necessarily hover this side. He might just randomly stay here, or like in the middle of the lane, and then the gank opportunity will be even better. Now also, if Udyr was here and the gank didn't work out, he doesn't want to gank this, because he thinks Twitch is going to escape like this, then it would still be good to be here, because then we can still take raptors and Krugs, and potentially even dive. Still, the opportunities are still up right now. But Udyr doesn't choose to do this. He doesn't decide to do anything here. So do you see, right now we talked about the main implications of wave mechanics for a jungler. We talked about, okay, if Vladimir decides to hold a wave here on this side of the map, if our teammates are basically trying to freeze a wave or at least to hold it as long as possible on this side of the map, we know for a fact that the enemy jungler, because he wants the enemy laner, because he wants to farm, is going to have to walk up a lot more, meaning he's going to be far, far away from his turret. That gives us a gank opportunity. So whenever we see our teammates freeze a wave, we should be able to gank them. We should look for gank opportunities. So this is the implication of wave mechanics. Our teammates freeze, look for a gank on that teammate, because the enemy, his later opponent, is going to have to walk up a lot, giving us a very good gank opportunity. So knowing wave mechanics is going to increase your success rate, right? Now, the second part of this is also we talked about slow pushing. If our teammates are slow pushing towards the enemy, then they are susceptible to ganking. Because right now, like we see Riven, we talked about that Riven, her wave was pushing away from her, right? Meaning that she was here, but like we knew that in a minute or a minute and a half or something, she would be here, which is exactly the case. Right now, she is here on the side of the map. So if Elise wasn't bot lane right now, but she was top lane, then Elise could have gotten a very good gank off here, right? So if you know that your teammates are slow pushing towards the enemy, try to hover them a little bit, because you know that the enemy junglers are going to try and gank them. So then you can try to counter gank the enemy jungler and try to catch them off guard. And then the enemy jungler is going to be tilted. They're going to be like, how did the enemy jungler know that I was here? Right? Because you look at wave mechanics. Also, if you see your teammates who are very strong and they are starting to build very big waves, it's also good to like try and look for a dive. That's also an opportunity. Now, it's also the other way around. If the enemy is stronger and the enemy is looking to push the wave, slow pushing the wave under your top lane turret, that means that the enemy is going to be overextended. So then you have an opportunity as a jungler. You know that the enemy will be overextended and close to your side of the lane in just a bit. So then as a jungler, you can look at that and say, oh, right now, for example, Tahm would be here, but his wave is pushing towards my laner. So Tahm will not be here in a minute, but he will be here, for example. So then you know, if you're doing wolves right now, oh, I can maybe skip doing Gromp and I can immediately walk top lane, because by that time Tahm is going to be here. He won't be able to push in his wave yet, and then I can get a free gank off. And then Riven can maybe freeze the wave. We don't even have to kill Tahm. We just have to prevent him from pushing in the wave. Then maybe Riven can freeze it because of our jungle attention. So these are the two main implications of jungle, like wave mechanics for a jungler. Looking at waves that are slow pushing and looking at freezes. Because looking at, like, you can't really do anything with waves that are fast pushing. There's not really anything to do for that as a jungler. It's mainly about looking at who is freezing. Are the enemies freezing on your team? Is your team freezing on the enemy team? Is the enemy slow pushing into your team's direction? Or is it the other way around? Is your team slow pushing in the enemy's direction? That is basically everything you need to know about that. Obviously, we also talked a bit about jungle tracking. Jungle tracking and wave mechanics, they go hand in hand. Because if you look at the wave mechanics, you will be able to come up with situations that like help you be there at the moment and you have to be there for a gank. And you can also tie in invading with that. But in order to invade, you need to know which camps are up. And you can do that by jungle tracking. If you have a good jungle tracking and wave mechanics, you can set up very good ganks and you can synchronize those ganks with invading as well. Because you're both doing the jungle tracking and the wave mechanics in the same game. Alright, so I tried to explain this to the best of my ability. I'm not doing this in depth as in the coaching session. We looked at a little bit more examples and stuff. We went a little bit more in depth. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to end it here. I think we saw the main implications of how this should work as a jungler. You guys should hopefully have a very good understanding of how it works right now as a jungler. So the answer basically to the question that we talked about in the beginning of the video. Do you need to know wave mechanics as a jungler? Yes. And I will even ask you another question. Is it beneficial to know them? Can you actually do something with them in in a practical way? Yes, very much so, right? And this video should illustrate it perfectly. All right. So for everybody who is watching this video and who watched it until the end, until the very end here, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me. And hopefully I'll see you in my next videos as well. All right. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya. Bye.